Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to build a life of greatness, if you want to see success flow into your family, your business, your finances, your health, then you must understand this one truth. Success is not built in a day, it is built day by day. Success is not a single event. It is not one lucky break or one grand opportunity that changes everything overnight. Success is built daily in the quiet moments and the small actions. Pay in the choices you make when no one is watching. Most people live with the illusion that one day, everything will just fall into place. They wait for that one big chance, promotion, that one connection that will finally open the door to their dreams. But the truth is, success does not arrive in a day. It is created day by day. It is the product of the little things you do repeatedly, compounded over time until they form a life of greatness. Think of a seed. You don't plant a seed today and expect a tree tomorrow. You water it, you nurture it, you protect it from weeds, and you give it time. Each day that you take care of that seed, it grows a little more, even though you may not see the change right away. Success is the same way. Every decision, every action, every discipline is like watering the seed of your destiny. You don't see the fruit immediately, but if you remain faithful, the results will eventually reveal themselves. This is where many people miss it. They want instant gratification. They want the reward without the work. They want the applause without the process. But success is not built on moments of convenience, it is built on moments of consistency. The person who commits to doing the right thing day after day, even when it feels small, even when it feels boring, is the one who will eventually stand on the stage of success. There is a law in life. What you do consistently is what creates your reality. If you consistently neglect your health, your body will eventually break down. If you consistently waste your money, and you will eventually live in lack. If you consistently avoid responsibility, your life will eventually be filled with regret. But on the other hand, if you consistently invest in your growth, your wealth, your relationships, and your purpose, you will inevitably see the harvest of your discipline. When you study the lives of successful people, you find a common pattern. It wasn't one big break that made them. It was the years of daily practice, discipline, and decisions that nobody applauded. The author who sold millions of books was once the person writing every day with no recognition. The athlete who became a champion was once the person training when nobody was watching. The entrepreneur who built an empire was once the person working late nights, taking risks, and solving problems step by step. Their greatness was not built in a day, it was built day by day. If you want success, you must embrace the process. You cannot skip days and expect results. You cannot live casually and expect to live exceptionally. Every day is a brick, and the way you lay those bricks determines the strength of your foundation. One brick doesn't build a wall, but daily bricks will build a fortress. That fortress is your future. That fortress is your destiny. So stop waiting for the big moment. Stop looking for the one event that will change your life. Your life is being shaped right now by what you do today. Every small action matters. Every discipline counts. The success you dream is not waiting in some faraway future. It is being built right now, day by day. Discipline is not a word that excites most people, but is the very thing that makes success possible. Discipline is the bridge that takes you from where you are to where you want to go. Imagine standing on one side of a riverbank, looking across at the life you desire, the health, the relationships, the freedom, the purpose. That vision looks beautiful, but between where you stand and where you want to be lies a gap. That gap is the challenge of life. And the only way to cross it is to build a bridge. That bridge is discipline. Without it, the dream remains distant, the vision remains untouchable, and the destiny remains unfulfilled. Discipline is not just about rules or restrictions. It is about structure, order, and commitment. It is the ability to say yes to what moves you forward and no to what holds you back. Discipline is not a punishment. It is a pathway. It is the system that makes sure your desires are not wasted in wishful thinking, but translate into tangible results. Anyone can dream, but only those who practice discipline can manifest those dreams into reality. You cannot wish your way into success. You must work your way into it. And work without discipline is scattered, inconsistent, and unproductive. Discipline takes that energy and channels it with precision. It is what transforms an idea to action and then into achievement. Without discipline, you may start strong, but you will not finish. With discipline, even if you start small, you will finish strong. Think about a bridge in the natural world. It must be built with strength, consistency, and stability. If one part of the bridge is weak, it will collapse under light. The same is true in your life. If your habits, your routines, and your commitments are unstable, and they cannot carry the weight of your dreams, You cannot expect a shaky foundation to hold a heavy destiny. Discipline builds that strength. Each time you commit to the action, pain. Each time you follow through on what you said you would do, you lay down another plank on that bridge. Day by day, step by step, pain, the bridge grows stronger until it is able to carry you across to the success you desire. This is why discipline must be non-negotiable. People who rely on motivation alone always fall short, because motivation comes and goes. But discipline stays. Motivation asks, do I feel like it? Discipline declares, I do it regardless. And the people who live by discipline are the ones who consistently cross over to their goals. Consider any great accomplishment in history. Pain behind it is a foundation of discipline. The musician who plays beautifully did not wake up one day with talent fully formed. They practiced with discipline for years. Pain. The scientist who made discoveries did not stumble upon them by accident. They worked with discipline focused through countless failures. Pain. The business leader who built a company did not rise overnight. They showed up with discipline day after day, even when the results were invisible. In every arena of life, pain, discipline is that connects potential to performance. The truth is, your dreams are not denied. They are simply waiting for you to build the bridge. Pain. Every choice you make either adds a plank to that bridge or removes one. Every act of discipline strengthens it. Every act of laziness weakens it. When you skip the discipline, pain, you lengthen the distance. When you embrace the discipline, you shorten the gap. So if you want to get from vision to victory, from desire to destiny, pain, you must build and walk across the bridge of discipline. It is the only path that guarantees you will not just dream about success, but actually live it. Pain, feelings are some of the most unreliable guides in life. They rise and fall like the tide. One day you feel unstoppable. The next day you feel defeated before you even begin. Pain, one moment you are motivated to work hard, and the next moment you want to quit and stay comfortable. If you depend on feelings to determine whether you take action, pain, you will live a life of inconsistency and regret. Feelings change, but discipline remains. Discipline does not ask you how you feel. Pain, it demands that you do what is necessary regardless of your emotions. Pain, that is why the difference between ordinary people and extraordinary achievers is not who feels more inspired, it is who chooses discipline when feelings say no. Pain, consider this truth. You may not always feel like getting up early, but discipline will get you out of bed. You may not feel like exercising. Discipline will push you to train. You may not feel like studying, practicing, or working, but discipline will carry you through. Feelings whisper comfort. Pain, discipline commands progress. If you want to succeed, you cannot afford to let emotions run your life. They are too unpredictable, too fragile, too inconsistent. Pain, discipline is the anchor that holds you steady when the storms of feelings rage against you. Think about people who have achieved greatness. Pain, do you think they always felt like showing up? Do you believe they always felt like practicing or building? Of course not. They had days when they felt discouraged, days when they felt tired, days when they felt like quitting. But the reason they succeeded is because decided that discipline would lead and feelings would follow. Pain, when you act in discipline long enough, your feelings eventually align with your actions. You may not feel like doing it at first, but once you begin, momentum grows. Pain, your emotions catch up. Feelings are like weather, they change without warning. Discipline is like climate, it establishes an environment that produces results over time. Pain, if a farmer only planted on sunny days, he would never have a harvest. If a builder only worked on days when the sky was clear, the building would never be finished. Pain, in the same way, if you only take action when you feel good, your dreams will remain unfinished. But if you keep working day after day, regardless of how you feel, pain, one day you will stand on the finished product of your discipline. This is why successful people don't talk about how they feel nearly as much as they talk about what they do. They focus on actions, habits, and systems rather than emotions. And they know that emotions are temporary, but discipline produces permanent results. You may feel tired for a few hours, but if you push through with discipline, pain, the results you gain will last for years. You may feel discouraged for a season, but if you remain consistent, the breakthrough will eventually come. Pain, discipline is also what gives you control over your feelings. The more you practice it, the less power your emotions have to control you. Instead of living like a slave to moods, you become a master of habits. Instead of asking, do I feel like it? You declare, I will do it. That shift in perspective is where true freedom comes from. Pain, you no longer depend on motivation or excitement to move forward. You depend on your commitment. And that commitment will carry you farther than any feeling ever could. So stop waiting for the perfect mood to begin. Stop waiting for inspiration to hit. Stop waiting to feel ready. You will not always feel like it, but you must always do it. Pain because feelings may lie to you, but discipline never will. Discipline is the truth that takes you where you want to go, even when your feelings try to hold you back. Pain, the greatest trap many people fall into, is trying to conquer their entire future all at once. They get overwhelmed by the size of the dream, the weight of the responsibility. Pain, or the distance between where they are and where they want to be. They think about everything that needs to be done, all the obstacles that stand in the way. Pain and all the years it might take to arrive. That burden becomes so heavy that instead of moving forward, they freeze. But here's the truth: God did not give you tomorrow yet. He only gave you today. And if you want to live a successful life, you must learn to win today. When you focus on today, life becomes manageable. Pain, you don't need to figure out all the details of the next 5 years. You only need to make the right choices right now. When you wake up in the morning, pain, you can choose to pray today, to work today, to study today, to build today. You don't have to solve everything at once. You just have to take one faithful step today. Pain, if you repeat that process long enough, the future will take care of itself. Winning today is powerful because it breaks down the overwhelming into the achievable. Pain, think about climbing a mountain. If you keep staring at the peak, you will feel like giving up before you even start. But if you focus on taking the next step, pain, then the next, eventually those steps will add up until you reach the top. Life is no different. You don't have to climb your entire destiny in a single leap. Pain, you just have to take today's step with faith and discipline. This is why so many dreams die. They are buried on the weight of someday. People say, pain, one day I'll write the book. One day I'll start the business. One day I'll get in shape. One day I'll change my habits. But one day is not on the calendar. Pain, the only day you have is today, and what you do with it determines whether someday will ever arrive. And success belongs to those who learn how to turn own day into day one. A winning today also builds momentum. Every victory you achieve today gives you strength for tomorrow. Every act of discipline you complete today makes the next act easier. When you build one brick at a time, pain, you eventually create a wall. When you make one deposit at a time, you eventually build wealth. When you practice 1 hour at a time, you eventually master a skill. Greatness is never built in giant leaps. It is built in small, consistent wins stacked on top of each other. And here's the beauty: if you focus on winning today, pain, you eliminate excuses. You don't have to wait for better circumstances or perfect timing. You don't need all the answers. You don't need to fix everything overnight. Pain, you only need to do what is within your power today. Maybe that means making a call, sending an email, practicing for an hour, or learning something new. It may feel small, but small actions compound into massive results when repeated daily. Winning today also keeps you from being paralyzed by the past or anxious about the future. And you cannot change yesterday, and you cannot control tomorrow, but you can control today. You can decide how you show up, how you respond, and how you act right now. Pain, that is where your power lies. In the present moment, if you take care of today, you won't have to fear tomorrow. Pain, because your tomorrows will be built by the seeds you plant today. So stop waiting for the right time. Stop staring so far ahead that you lose sight of what's in front of you. Your success is not hidden in the future, it is hidden in today. Win today. Pain, and if you do it again tomorrow and the next day and the next, pain, you will look back one day and realize that your consistent victories have created the life you once only dreamed of. Habits are the invisible architects of your life. If they quietly shape your future, one decision at a time without asking for permission. Most people underestimate the power of habits because they seem so small, so ordinary, pain, so insignificant in the moment. But habits, whether good or bad, accumulate. They stack up day after day, and eventually they build the reality you live in. Pain, you don't decide your destiny directly. You decide your habits, and your habits decide your destiny. When you look at wealthy people, successful entrepreneurs, paying world-class athletes, or people who live with purpose and fulfillment, it's easy to believe they are just more talented, more intelligent, or more fortunate. Pain, but the truth is most of them aren't extraordinary in talent. They are extraordinary in consistency. They built habits that serve their goals instead of sabotaging them. Pain, they created systems that worked for them day after day, even when they didn't feel motivated. Habits are what separate who only dream from those who actually achieve. Consider the habit of discipline in finances. A person who develops the habit of saving and investing a portion of their income, even if it's small, pain, will eventually build wealth. Meanwhile, someone who spends impulsively every time money touches their hands will remain broke, no matter how much they earn. Pain. Difference isn't the amount of money they start with, the difference is the habit. One habit builds wealth, the other destroys it. The same principle applies to health. Pain, if you build the habit of eating nourishing foods, drinking water, and exercising regularly, your body will reflect that discipline. If you build the habit of eating junk, pain, neglecting exercise, and ignoring rest, your body will also reflect that. Your body is not a result of what you do occasionally. It's the result of what you do habitually. And it doesn't stop there. Relationships are built on habits too. The habit of communicating with respect, listening intentionally, and showing appreciation strengthens bonds. The habit of neglect, harsh words, or indifference erodes them. Pain. You can't expect a strong marriage or deep friendships if your habits toward people are careless. The same way you invest money for growth. Pain, you must invest habits into your relationships to see them flourish. The danger is that bad habits often feel easier in the moment. Scrolling instead of reading. Pain, sleeping instead of working out. Spending instead of saving. Complaining instead of creating. All of these feel comfortable in the short term. But every bad habit comes the hidden cost that shows up later. On the other hand, good habits often feel harder in the beginning. Waking up early, exercising, studying, investing, praying, practicing, all require effort. But every good habit comes with a hidden reward that shows up later. The key to success is choosing the pain of discipline over the pain of regret. One lasts a moment, the other lasts a lifetime. Habits also compound. Pain, just like compound interest makes your money grow exponentially, repeated habits multiply their results over time. And in reading 10 pages of a book each day doesn't feel like much, but in a year that's over 600 pages, dozens of books, and a wealth of knowledge gain. Saving a small amount of money each day doesn't feel like much, but over years it builds a fortune. Likewise, skipping small disciplines each day doesn't feel like much, but over years it produces massive loss. The power of habits is not in the immediate result, but in the long-term compounding effect. Pain, that's why success is not about one big action, it's about thousands of small actions repeated faithfully. Habits automate your success. Pain, when you train yourself to consistently do the right things, you no longer rely on willpower alone. It becomes second nature. And when success becomes a habit, pain becomes almost impossible. So if you want to transform your life, don't just change your goals, change your habits. Ask yourself, what do I do daily that is moving me toward my destiny? What do I do daily that is pulling me away from it? Build the habits that serve your future. Pain, and break the ones that sabotage it, because in the end, you will not rise to the level of your dreams, you will fall to the level of your habits. And discipline is often misunderstood as a form of punishment, as if it exists only to take away pleasure or restrict freedom. But the reality is quite the opposite. Pain, true to discipline and a chain that binds you, it is the key that unlocks your potential. It is not the prison that confines you, it is the pathway that liberates you. Pain, when you embrace discipline, you are not losing freedom, you are gaining it. You are taking control of your life, your future. Pain, your destiny, instead of being enslaved by distractions, laziness, or impulses. Discipline does not take life away, it gives life structure, power, and meaning. Without discipline, people live as slaves to their moods, their appetites, and their circumstances. If you only eat what you crave, you end up unhealthy. Pain. If you only spend when you feel like it, you end up broke. If you only work when you're motivated, you end up average. That's not freedom, that's bondage. Pain, true freedom is when you can control yourself, when you can choose the path that leads to growth even if it is harder in the moment. Pain, freedom is not doing whatever you feel like. Freedom is doing what is necessary without being ruled by feelings. Discipline is what gives you that power. Think of a train. Pain, on the surface, it looks like the tracks are restricting it, limiting where it can go. But those very tracks are the reason the train can move with speed and power. Pain, and without the tracks it'd be stuck, unable to move forward. Discipline works the same way. It gives your life structure, direction, pain, and focus so that you can reach your destination faster and with greater impact. Without discipline, you drift aimlessly, starting and stopping but never arriving. Pain, when you see someone who is successful, what you're really seeing is someone who has embraced discipline as a lifestyle. Pain. They learned to say no to distractions so they could say yes to destiny. They learned to sacrifice comfort in the short term for freedom in the long term. And the entrepreneur who wakes up early to build their business, the athlete who trains when others are sleeping. From pain, the student who studies when others are partying, they are not being punished, they are being prepared. Their discipline is not robbing them of joy. It is positioning them for greatness. Discipline also brings clarity. When you live without it, life feels chaotic. Your time slips away, your energy scatters, pain, and your opportunities pass by unused. When you live with discipline, your priorities become clear. You know what matters and what doesn't. You stop wasting time on things that drain you, and you start investing time into things that grow you. That clarity creates peace of mind. Because you are no longer wandering, you are walking with intention. It's important to realize that discipline is not about perfection. It is about direction. Pain. You don't have to get everything right all the time. You just have to keep choosing the path that aligns with your goals. Every act of discipline is a step forward. Paying every choice to honor your commitments strengthens your future. And even when you stumble, discipline allows you to get back up quickly and keep moving. Paying. The reason many people avoid discipline is because it feels difficult in the beginning. It requires sacrifice. It requires effort. Pain. It requires going against what is comfortable. But what they don't realize is that the discomfort of discipline is temporary while the rewards are lasting. On the other hand, the comfort of laziness is temporary while the regrets are lasting. You have to decide which pain you want, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Pain one makes you stronger, the other makes you weaker. So don't see discipline as something that takes from you. See it as something that gives to you. It gives you freedom. Pain gives you focus. It gives you power, and it gives you success. It is the tool that allows you to break free from mediocrity and step into mastery. The more you embrace it, pain, the more you will realize that discipline is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally. Pain, it is not the chain that binds you. It is the bridge that carries you to the life you were created to live. Every dream you have, every goal you want to accomplish. Pain and every vision you hold in your heart requires a bridge strong enough to carry you from desire to destiny. That bridge is not built with hope alone, nor with talent alone. It is built plank by plank with daily actions, habits, and routines. Pain, every choice you make today is either laying down a piece of that bridge or tearing one away. And if you are not careful, pain, you may discover that the bridge you are building is too weak to support the weight of your dreams. Think about the little things you do consistently. Waking up early to pray. Paying, studying an extra hour, exercising, saving money, practicing your craft. Each of these is a plank laid on the bridge towards success. At first, pain, it may feel like nothing is happening because a single plank does not look like much. But over time, plank by plank, the bridge grows stronger, longer. Pain, more capable of carrying you across the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Small actions, when repeatedly, create massive outcomes. Pain. The problem is that most people underestimate the power of small actions. They think missing one workout doesn't matter. Skipping one day of practice doesn't count. Pain, ignoring one opportunity won't hurt. But every missed plank weakens the bridge. Success is not destroyed in a moment. It erodes gradually through daily neglect. And just like termites eat away at wood slowly, inconsistency eats away at your bridge silently. By the time many people realize it, pain, the bridge has too many holes to carry their dream across. On the other hand, when you commit to your daily disciplines, you are reinforcing the bridge every single day. Even if no one notices, even if there's no applause, even if you don't see immediate results, you are building something strong beneath the surface. Pain, the habits you practice in private will hold up the success you experience in public. Without those hidden planks of discipline, pain, the visible structure will eventually collapse. Imagine building a physical bridge. Would you want to drive across one that was missing planks with holes scattered across it? Of course not. You would never trust your life to a weak structure, yet many people expect their weak daily habits to somehow carry them to greatness. Pain, they want the weight of wealth, leadership, and influence, but their bridge of habits is fragile. Paying discipline is what strengthens the bridge until it can bear the full weight of your destiny. This is why it's critical to treat every daily action as significant. Don't despise the small routines. Don't underestimate the power of a single act of discipline. Reading 10 pages a day may not feel like much, but over time it turns you into a person of wisdom. Saving a little money may not seem impactful, but over time it creates financial freedom. And practicing for an hour each day may not feel extraordinary, but over time it makes you world-class. Every plank counts. When you understand this, procrastination becomes dangerous. Every day you delay is a day you refuse to add to the bridge. Every excuse you make is a plank you choose not to lay. Pain, and the longer you delay, the longer you remain stuck on the wrong side of the gap. The only way across is to keep building. So ask yourself, pain, what kind of bridge am I building with my daily habits? Is it strong enough to carry me into my future, or will it collapse under the weight of my dreams? The good news is, pain, you don't have to build it all at once. You only need to lay today's plank. And if you keep laying planks faithfully, pain, one day you will look back and realize the bridge is complete. You will walk across it with confidence because you know it is built with consistency, integrity, and discipline. Resistance is the very thing most people run from, yet it is the very thing that makes growth possible. The truth is, pain. Nothing great is ever achieved without resistance. You cannot build muscle without resistance in the gym. You cannot sharpen your mind without resistance in study. Pain, and you cannot strengthen your character without resistance in life. Resistance is not your enemy, is your teacher, your trainer, your refiner. It is the fire that proves the gold, the pressure that forms the diamond, the struggle that reveals the strength within you. If life were easy, pain, you would never grow into the person capable of carrying your destiny. It is the resistance you push against that shapes you into who you need to become. Pain, most people think success is about avoiding obstacles, finding shortcuts, and choosing the easy path. But the easy path never produces greatness. Pain. Comfort zones are graveyards and dreams. If you only act when it's convenient, you will never see what's truly possible for your life. Pain, the reality is that the days you least want to do the work are the days that count the most. Anybody can act when they're excited, motivated, or inspired. Pain. But when you push yourself to act in the face of resistance, when you move forward even though you're tired, discouraged, or tempted to quit, that's when true growth happens. Resistance is proof that you are moving in the right direction. If you encounter no resistance, pain likely means you're not stretching yourself, not challenging yourself, not leaving your comfort zone. Resistance shows up when you pursue a bigger vision. Pain when you dare to take steps toward your calling. Instead of running from it, you should welcome it as a sign that you are on the path of growth. Pain, think of resistance as confirmation that you are doing something that matters. The beauty of resistance is that it reveals your capacity. Pain, you don't know how strong you are until you face pressure. You don't know how much perseverance you have until life tests you. And every time you overcome resistance, pain, your capacity expands. The challenge that once seemed impossible eventually becomes easy because resistance trained you to rise higher. Pain. That's why you should not despise difficult seasons. They are producing a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and more resilient than before. And let's look at it practically. An athlete doesn't grow by lifting the same light weights over and over again. Growth happens when the weight is heavy, when it feels almost too much to bear. Each repetition against resistance tears the muscle, and in the healing process, the muscle grows stronger. Life works the same way. Resistance may feel painful in the moment, but it is creating strength you will need for the next level of your destiny. Pain, here's the truth. Discipline without resistance is meaningless. Discipline only becomes powerful when it is tested against difficulty. It is easy to be disciplined when everything feels good. It's when nothing feels right, when doors are closing, when distractions are pulling. Pain, when you want to quit, that's when discipline proves its worth. Resistance is the environment where discipline matures into strength. So instead of resenting resistance, embrace it, see it as preparation. Understand that the very thing trying to stop you is the very thing equipping you. Resistance is not sent to break you. Pain, it is sent to build you. Every time you push against it, you move closer to becoming the person who can handle success when it finally arrives. Pain, because success without resistance would crush you, but success after resistance can be carried with strength, humility, and wisdom. Remember, resistance produces resilience. Pain, and resilience is the secret ingredient of champions. If you can keep going when everything in you wants to stop, if you can keep building when nothing seems to be working, pain, if you can keep believing when doubt is screaming in your ear, then you have already separated yourself from the crowd, because most people quit when resistance comes. Pain, those who endure resistance are the ones who rise to greatness. Accountability is one of the most underestimated forces in the journey of discipline and success. Pain. Many people fail to reach their goals not because they lack talent, vision, or even desire, but because they try to walk the road of discipline alone. And when you rely only on yourself, it becomes too easy to make excuses, too easy to justify delay, too easy to compromise. But when you place yourself under accountability, pain, when you give someone permission to check you, to question you, to challenge you, you create a system that forces growth, consistency, and follow through. Pain, accountability is like a mirror. It shows you the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. And though it may be uncomfortable, pain, it is exactly what you need if you truly want to succeed. Think about how success works in teams. Athletes do not train in isolation. They train with coaches, teammates, pain, systems that hold them accountable. A player who skips practice will be noticed. A player who slacks off will be corrected. Pain, that external accountability sharpens their internal discipline. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you want to grow spiritually, financially, physically, pain, or in business, you need someone who won't let you settle for less than your best. Left alone, human nature drifts toward comfort, not discipline. Paying accountability is the anchor that keeps you aligned with your commitments. The beauty of accountability is that it multiplies your strength. When you are weak, paying someone else's encouragement can lift you. When you are distracted, someone else's reminder can refocus you. When you are tempted to quit, paying someone else's belief in you can reignite your fire. Accountability creates an environment where quitting is harder than continuing because you know someone is watching, cheering, or challenging you to stay on track. That alone can make the difference between giving up and pushing forward. Accountability also kills excuses. It is easy to rationalize in private. It is easy to tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow, I did enough today. But when you have to answer to someone else, excuses lose their power. Suddenly, paying, you cannot just talk about what you plan to do, you must show results. And that shift from intention to action is what creates real momentum. Discipline thrives when excuses are limited, and accountability is one of the strongest antidotes to excuses. Now, paying accountability does mean surrounding yourself with people who only praise you or agree with you. True accountability is not about comfort, it's about challenge. Paying, the people you need in your life are the ones who will tell you the truth, not just what you want to hear. You need mentors, peers, paying, or partners who can call you out when you are slipping and push you forward when you are slacking. Paying, their role is not to control you, but to remind you of the standard you set for yourself and to help you hold fast to it. There is also a spiritual principle here. The Bible says, iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Iron cannot sharpen itself. It needs the friction of another piece of iron to become sharp and effective. Likewise, you cannot sharpen yourself in isolation. Accountability is that friction. Sometimes it will feel uncomfortable, but that very discomfort is what makes you sharper, stronger, and more disciplined. Accountability is also a form of humility. It is admit that you don't have it all together, that you are human, that you need support. Paying, too often pride keeps people from accountability. They want to appear strong and independent. But true strength is not about pretending you don't need anyone. Paying, it's about admitting you need others to help you reach your fullest potential. The person who embraces accountability positions themselves for sustained success. Paying, while the person who rejects it is destined to repeat cycles of inconsistency. So if you want to succeed, don't just ask, must I do? Ask also, who will hold me to it? Find someone you respect, someone you trust, someone who is committed to your growth, and invite them into your journey. And give them permission to ask hard questions. Allow them to challenge your excuses. Let them celebrate your victories and correct your missteps. Paying, that kind of accountability is not a weakness. It is one of the greatest strengths you can have. Discipline without accountability is fragile. But discipline with accountability becomes unbreakable. Alone you may stumble. With accountability you keep moving forward. Alone delay. With accountability you stay consistent. Alone you may give up. With accountability you endure until the promise becomes reality. And that, my friend, paying is not accountability is not optional if you truly desire the bridge of discipline into lasting success. Legacy is not built in a moment of glory. Paying, it is built day by day through the choices you make, the habits you form, and the discipline you practice when no one is watching. Paying, too many people chase temporary rewards, quick money, fleeting fame, instant gratification, without realizing that all of it fades. Paying, what truly matters is to leave behind the impact you make on others, and the story your life tells long after you are gone. Legacy is the harvest of your discipline. Paid is the fruit of your consistency. It is the evidence that you lived with purpose, not just for yourself, but for generations to come. When you live with discipline, paying, you are not just shaping your present, you are influencing your future and the future of those who come after you. Paying, every action you take becomes part of the story. They'll be remembered tomorrow. If you are careless, your legacy will reflect carelessness. If you are consistent, paying, your legacy will reflect strength and perseverance. Your children, your community, your followers. Paying, even people you may never meet will be affected by the patterns you live out daily. Discipline is not just about you, it is about what you pass on. Paying, think about the great men and women who left a lasting impact on history. They did not do it by taking shortcuts or living casually. Paying, they built their legacies through discipline, through the sacrifices they made, the battles they fought, the principles they refused to compromise. Paying, and the consistency they maintained over years. Their lives tell us that legacy is not about one big achievement, but about a lifetime of disciplined action. Paying is about showing up every day, even when it's hard, and building something that stands the test of time. Discipline creates credibility, and credibility builds trust. Pain, when people know you are disciplined, they trust your work, and they trust your leadership. That trust becomes part of your legacy. Pain, no one remembers the person who talked big but never followed through. People remember those who lived with integrity, who were reliable, who were faithful. Pain, that kind of legacy cannot be bought and it cannot be faked. It is earned through years of disciplined living. Legacy also extends beyond material wealth or accomplishments. Pain, you leave money behind, but if you didn't live with discipline, that money may be wasted. You can leave behind titles and recognition, but if your character was weak, pain, your memory will not inspire anyone. The greatest legacy is not what you leave to people, but what you leave in people. Discipline leaves in others an example of perseverance, pain, resilience, and faithfulness that they can follow. Your life becomes a blueprint for others to build upon. The truth is, every day you are writing your legacy. Pain. The habits you practice are shaping the way you will be remembered. Are you going to be remembered as someone who quit when it was hard, pain, or someone who pushed through until the end? Will you be remembered as someone who lived for themselves, or someone who built something lasting for others? Pain, your legacy is not some far-off idea. It is being created right now in the choices you make today. Discipline ensures that your legacy is not left to chance. And without discipline, you drift, and drifting produces nothing worth remembering. But with discipline, you can aim your life toward a purpose, build with intention, pain, and create something that outlives you. Discipline allows you to plant seeds today that will bear fruit long after you are gone. It ensures that when your name is spoken, pain will be spoken with honor, respect, and gratitude. So, live every day with legacy in mind. Don't just ask, what feels good right now? Ask instead, pain. What will this choice say about me 10 years from now? What will it say about me when I am gone? When you embrace discipline, you are choosing to build a bridge. Pain, not just for yourself, but for everyone who comes after you. That bridge will carry not only your success, but the success of future generations. And when you live that way, pain, your life will not just be successful, it will be significant.